Yesterday there was a briefing by Secretary Austin and General Milley. Woke Milley. They decided, I guess, that they're going to do a better job of messaging around the whole Ukraine deal and everything that's happening in Ukraine. So they started doing a press conference.
So the United States will continue to stand with Ukraine today and tomorrow. And along with our allies and partners, we will increase the momentum. We'll work together to help Ukraine build up its enduring strength and its lasting ability to defend itself.
We're going to work together in the future with our counterparts to continue to provide Ukraine what they need to continue their quest for their freedom. The nature of war is often unpredictable, but we are committed, shoulder to shoulder with Ukraine, to ensure they remain a free, independent, and sovereign country.
They did not forget to say, hey, by the way, we're going to ask for another $2-point-something billion. I need you guys to understand why I'm harping on this, because it's pretty incredible. As of May, we had already committed and approved $54 billion to Ukraine. $54 billion to Ukraine. A non-NATO ally. It's in Europe. It's something that they can handle in Europe, but we're dedicating $54 billion with a B. Every school in this country, elementary and high school, could have bulletproof glass, locked, secured doors that could be locked from the inside, armed security, retired police officers. We could also help the homeless in this country. Crime right now is at an all-time high, or at least over a few decades high. There's a police shortage that could be funded. Every inner city right now is struggling from an economic standpoint. There's so many things that these billions and billions of dollars could be going to. Mind you, that $54 billion was as of May. The end of August, or either earlier this month, or in September, somewhere between $11 billion and $14 billion were also allocated to go to Ukraine. Add in the $1 or $2 billion that they're talking about now, and we are well over the $60 billion that I told you guys we were going to be at a few videos ago. I'm going to tag the videos that I've talked about this topic, because no one else seems to be talking about it, and it's so obvious to me that there's some laundering going on, or there's something going on, because it doesn't make sense that we're spending this kind of money. We wouldn't fund our border wall, but we're over there securing their border and fighting their crime. Why do they need billions of dollars? When Trump was impeached, they said he had overseas dealings with Russia. That's what happened. That's what the claim was. They said he was withholding funds. I think that was billions of dollars to Ukraine.
But I'm not going to, or we're not going to give you the $1 billion. They said, you have no authority. You're not the president. The president said. I said, call him. I said, I'm telling you, you're not getting the $1 billion. I said, you're not getting the $1 billion. I'm going to be leaving here. And I think it was, 6 hours? I looked, I said, I'm leaving in 6 hours. If the prosecutor's not fired, you're not getting the money. Well, son of a bitch. got fired. And they put in place someone who was solid.
And attempting to get them to investigate a political foe. And he got impeached over supposedly corruption with some guy named Vladimir Zelenskyy. They're doing the same thing right now, only they're dumping 8 to 10 times more money than he was supposedly withholding from them. So we were giving them billions already. We're not at war with Russia. Why are we doing this? Why are we doing this? The economy is crap. Inflation is still extremely high. They've gotten relief from dictatorships and communists for gas, so that's gone down. It's going to go back up because Saudi Arabia said they're going to stop. They're going to go back to cutting their production. I already talked about crime. Biden's got record low approval numbers. No matter what these fake polls are telling you now, it's BS. Because Trump's numbers are still way higher than Biden's, and that's a fact. So he's in trouble. He's been in trouble. He insulted half the country, so he knew. Oh crap! And he doesn't know. His people knew. Apparently, they said that his people did not want him to call half the country a threat, and he went through and did it anyway. Supposedly, I think they're trying to make him look. Or I guess they don't really have to try too hard to make him look senile. I think they're just trying to make him look completely incompetent to cover for their bad policies, so they can get him out of there. Because he keeps saying he's not going, and they keep saying, we'll wait and see what happens. Typically, a president's team is going to say, no, he's not going anywhere. That's not what they're saying. That's what he's saying. But that doesn't answer the question of what we're doing with all of this money that's unaccounted for because nobody's auditing it. The polls have been really, really bad in the past. Really bad. But they were always in the left's favor. With this guy, the polls are really, really bad, and they're left-leaning polls, which means he's really in trouble. His numbers are worse than they're even letting on. So you want to start a war, or in this case, a proxy war, without getting into a full-on war and destroying inflation even worse. But then you have to ask, okay, so what was that whole Nancy Pelosi thing about? Because they announced yesterday that we're going to start sending weapons to Taiwan. Surface-to-air missiles, stuff like that can combat China's Air Force. Why? Why are we provoking two countries? Russia's already said, hey, I got a problem with you guys getting involved, and you're only going to make it worse. China said, hey, Nancy Pelosi, why are you going to Taiwan? We don't want you there. You're going to make this a problem. You're going to escalate unnecessarily a situation that you're not even a part of. What are you doing, lady? And she went anyway and provoked them. And then openly mocked them on her way back. Said, I'm not beholden to China. Which is completely against the point. Militarily, we're provoking the largest military in the world, outside of ours, of course. Why? Why? Why are our politicians so hell-bent on making Russia mad and China mad? Because all we're going to do is form a coalition that they have already got anyway. That's all we're doing. We're being adversarial and we're killing their people. We're just not directly doing it. We're giving it to people to kill their people, and then we act as if we're an innocent party. Why are we announcing it? The only reason we would be doing this is to get a reaction from these other two countries. I can't think of any other reason why we would do this. Why are we announcing? Why did Nancy Pelosi announce she was going to Taiwan? And I know this is a month ago, and I didn't talk about it because I just watched and say, okay, well maybe let's see if something else about China comes down the pike. And here we are. We're talking about giving them weapons, and we're putting it on the news for the whole world to see. It's one thing funding these countries. It's another thing to broadcast it to the world that we're doing it, because it's provocative. So we're helping Ukraine, who is not a NATO ally, fight against Russia, who is a nuclear power.
We believe that we are visiting you to say thank you for your fight for freedom, that we are on a frontier of freedom, and that your fight is a fight for everyone. And so our commitment is to be there for you until the fight is done.
Before this war, everybody knew he was corrupt. Now we've got celebrities meeting up with him, praising him. We're putting him on the cover of our magazines. He's ringing the New York Stock Exchange bell.
President Volodymyr Zelenskyy of Ukraine ringing the opening bell remotely, as you can see there at the New York Stock Exchange.
He's a hero. A year ago this time, he was considered corrupt. And now he's sitting on 70 billion or 60 to 70 billion dollars cash. And he's asking for more. You can't spend that kind of money this fast. I don't care where you are. Our government doesn't even allocate money this fast. Yes, he's in war. You cannot spend this kind of money this fast, because he's not just getting cash, he's getting weapons. Our country could use this money. Are we just printing it to send it there? If that's the case, why aren't we keeping that money here? I still don't understand why we're not spending that money here. Illegals are pouring across the border, breaking records. Crimes are being committed. We're not focusing on here. We're letting prisoners out. We're cutting police. We're doing everything to hurt our own country. And nobody says anything. I mean, people say things about the individual stuff that I just brought up, but nobody's saying anything about the Ukraine aspect of this and how that money could be allocated to help everything we complain about. We're in the middle of an energy crisis. What do? Let's get rid of gas cars. That's the answer? California gets rid of the gas, or trying to get rid of gas cars. Everybody should be driving an electric car. It's a mandate. We're going to do that within the next, I don't know how many years, 10, 15 years. The very next week after they declared that, or pitched that, the very next week, they had to ask everybody not to use their power. Hey, we need to cut energy consumption. What would be the case if we had already implemented their plan? Let's think this through. Let's talk this through. We implement their plan. Everyone's driving electric cars. Cool. We're in a good position now. We're no longer using gas and fossil fuels. All right. How does that stop this energy crisis if this comes up again? So now nobody can drive? Hey, people, you can't charge your cars because we're cutting down on energy? It's hot. People would not be able to go to work. And there's a lot of states, and Biden wants it done by 2030. The world would, or our country would shut down. Because what the sustainable energy that they're trying to promote is not sustainable. Their remedies are not sustainable. It cannot move our economy, and it cannot function in our society as is today. There's got to be more innovation. And we already know they're funding that by the tune of trillions of dollars. So what's the rush? This money could be going towards those solutions. I'd rather it not, but it's better than sending it to Ukraine. It's better than using it to kill Russians and Chinese people. Because I don't think we have any interest in those. I think there's a cyber war to be fought with China, and maybe we should be funding that. But we shouldn't be openly trying to provoke these people into what I feel like war. It feels like they're trying to provoke a war. And that's a terrifying thought. Because we have corrupt politicians like Nancy Pelosi going over to Taiwan. Her husband mysteriously dropped stock in NVIDIA. And she meets with chip companies in Taiwan 2 days before she went. Or was it 2 days after? Within that time frame, our government passed a bill, and they made it look like Paul Pelosi lost money by dumping his NVIDIA stock, but he really didn't. He would have lost more. I don't know. Is it just me? Sounds like he had insider information. That sounds criminal to me. It looks like she went over to Taiwan, went to a company that her husband does not have specific ties to, but impacts his ties to NVIDIA. And then he drops all the stock. That's what it looks like to me. That's what it looks like he did to me. She went home, she took her son with her. That's another Hunter Biden situation. I'm going to get into that one. I'll do that in another video. Because she took Paul Pelosi Jr. Very similar to Hunter, just without all the drugs and prostitutes. But with the overseas business dealings, we need to talk about that guy. Because while the drunkard DWI husband had to stay home, she took her son with. When a conflict of interest shows up, you're supposed to recuse yourself or not do something when you're a government official. You're not supposed to just plow ahead and go forward and say, well, it's not technically illegal. We'll see what happens. This money, follow the money, I guess. That's the old saying, right?